Last year, we traveled 13,794 miles and visited 22 states.
And we're going to tell you what it cost us.
For those of you that just found us, we are Phil and Stacy from You, Me, and the RV, of course.
And welcome. We're so glad you are here.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome aboard.
Before we tell you all of our numbers, we have to remind you that RVing costs will vary from RVer to RVer.
Yeah, we can't emphasize that enough. The way we RV will not be the way you RV.
When you're looking at costs from different YouTubers and bloggers, just kind of keep that in mind. There are a ton of things that will affect what your costs will be. I'm going to go over a few of them real quick for you. So the type of your RV, the size of your RV, the size of your family, your RV living style, which can really vary, preferred type of camping, if you camp host or you don't camp host, the frequency of boondocking, what your income is, what your debt is, how long you stay in each location, and there are so many other things that can affect what your costs are.
Yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, in your sticks and bricks, you don't live the same as your neighbor. It's the exact same thing that applies to RVing. We got beat up last year when we disclosed how we traveled and what we spent on it, but we budgeted. As with anything that we do, we budget for it and we stay within our budget.
If you haven't seen our first finance video, it is our first year on the road and what we spent, and I will link that down below.
Our RV goals were simple. We wanted to get out and see as much as this country had to offer, and we knew it was going to cost some money to do it.
Right. So we wanted adventures. We wanted to experience new things. Yes, we do look for free parks and free things to do, but we also knew we would spend a little money doing it. So when you start off on your RV adventure, your goals may be different than ours. So just keep that in mind, and we are going to graciously share our amounts with you. Yeah. So if it's not what you would spend, that is okay. Just don't beat us up in the comments.
Yeah, and this just gives you an idea of some of the things that we did. So if you want to move every week and go see national monuments, stay in national parks and visit and do a lot of things, your costs are going to be a little higher. If you're going to go and sit out in the desert in Arizona and stargaze at night, your costs will be a little lower, so keep that in mind.
Yep. All right, so you ready to get into the numbers?
Let's go.
Oh, do keep in mind that we are giving you our category totals here. If you want a breakdown of our categories and what specifically we spend on items like maintenance and fun, if you go to the blog, it's even got more detail for you.
Yeah, and the blog is located at todayissomeday.net.
Let's tell you a few of the things that will not be included in our budgeting.
Non-RV specific type stuff like groceries, eating, what we eat, how we eat. Everybody has to eat, and everybody's style is going to be different.
So we also won't include things like cell phone bills, our clothing allowance, anything like that, any of the movie platforms. You know, those, if you have them, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. But those are not RVing specific. So we're only going to talk about RVing specific items in our budget breakdown.
Yeah, and we also won't be discussing RV depreciation because everybody has a different type of RV.
And different depreciation.
That's right. So we'll leave it at that.
All right. So let's move on in. To start off our budget, we're going to start with activities.
Who doesn't like activities?
There's a ton of room for activities.
Look at all this floor space. So much aerobics in here. So many activities.
Name that movie.
All right. Activities include any admission fees, any tickets, anything like that to get us into any fun things we've done on the road. And that total was $1,830.20.
So we like to have fun.
Yes,
that's what that says.
Do. If you want a good breakdown, go to the blog and it'll show you just where we spent that money.
Yeah. And another big ticket item is our fuel. Now keep in mind we have a diesel RV, so fuel, it's ebbs and flows in price. But we spent $2,753 in diesel and DEF.
Right. But over the course of last year, we signed up for the TSD card, which
RV
is a
fuel card.
Yep, it's a savings program which saved us a ton of money.
Right, and we only, by the time we got the card and got back out on the road, we used the card 7 times before we got hit with COVID and had to sit. So if you're interested in what this TSD RV fuel program is, it is for diesel RVs or diesel trucks. Sorry, gassers, they don't have the program. The program started out with 18-wheelers, and they've been doing that for 40 years, and they just included RVers. So if you want more information about the TSD program and how you can sign up and get the card, head on over to the blog as well.
And I'll put that link down below. All right, next up is our propane costs. And again, as a motorhome, we do have an onboard propane, and this cost is only for that, not for our portable grill propane. So we spent $187.62.
Yeah, not too bad. And we use it mainly for cooking. And if we're boondocking, then we use it for cooking, heat for the water, and heat for the rig if it's cold outside.
Next up is our tolls. As some of you may know, we did tour the Northeast last year.
Awesome.
Oh, we had a great time.
It's a must if you haven't done it.
Great time. But there are a lot of tolls up there.
Yes.
So for the year, we spent $318.35 on tolls.
That's right. Keep those quarters and, well, actually keep those 20s handy.
Yes.
But some tolls were, I mean, a few dollars to a lot of dollars.
Yes.
Let's just put it that way. So make
Some
sure
were shocking.
Yeah, so make sure you have some cash on hand going through the Northeast.
All right, next up is transportation and parking. And when I say transportation, I mean like the metro or any commuter trains or anything like that.
Pay to park.
Yeah, so our total for both of those together is $226.37.
Not bad.
All right, next up, you want to take that one?
Yeah. So our rally fees, we attended the Escapees Hangout, which we absolutely had a blast with. And if you're interested in that Escapees Hangout, Stacy will link the video down below as well.
Yeah, it was the best time. We actually did an amazing race throughout New Hampshire. It was the most fun ever. So if you're wondering if we won the race, you'll have to watch the video.
That's right. No spoiler alerts here.
Now, we did actually attend a second rally, and that was the Our Village rally, and that was an epic rally. But we spoke at that rally, so we
Topped our site.
Yeah, and that rally is amazing too, so you got to go to that one.
And that was actually our first speaking gig.
Yeah.
So if you weren't there, you missed out.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So next up is our internet, and this one's a little complicated.
Yeah. So there's some lessons learned in this one. So we'll tell you that we paid for our plan. It was $700 for the year. We paid that up front. And it worked for about a year and a half. And then something happened and the company went out of business, and so did our service.
Yeah.
So luckily, we've been sitting at a pretty nice park that has decent Wi-Fi. And I'm in the research phase right now to find another setup for us.
So keep your eye out. We're going to share that with you once we get up and going. But we did pay $700 at the beginning of our year for our internet. And it ended up we only got 6 months out of it. So we averaged $116 a month for what we actually got out of that internet plan. All right, next up is our RV insurance. So before I tell you what we paid, remember there are a lot of variables with your insurance, just like with car insurance. So are you full-time or part-time? What's your driving record? What is your zip code? What's your credit look like? All of those will affect.
Type of RV, yeah.
Yeah, all of those are going to affect how old is your RV. It'll all affect what your bottom line is. So I can tell you we did go through Progressive. Phil shopped around, and he has each year we've been on the road, and we paid $21.21 for our insurance for the year, and we paid up front to get a little bit of a discount.
Yeah, so when you're searching different RV forums and you're asking that $1 million question, what does everybody pay for RV insurance? It's a little misleading because you'll see numbers from 500 to 5,000, and I've literally seen those. And again, it's all of those variables that Stacy mentioned, so you really just have to shop around.
Yeah, and not every insurance company will provide insurance for RVs and insurance for full-time RVers.
Right.
So you do have to shop around.
Right.
All right, next up is our RV maintenance.
Yeah, the maintenance was low this year just because we do a lot of maintenance ourselves. So we did go to Red Bay, and our maintenance was $1,123. Not too bad. Yeah. That included the generator oil being changed out and some odds and ends that we had Tiffin fix while we were there.
Yeah, and again, for full details on that, head over to our blog post. All right, next up is RV upgrades. These are some things we did ourselves, and the total for that is $3,763.
And that was mainly our solar upgrade.
Yeah.
And that was a DIY.
With the help of friends.
With the help of friends. We saved a lot of money by doing it ourselves, so the cost is low. You'll see the video, and you'll see how we did it, and you'll see where we saved some money. But again, we budgeted, and we came in under budget, so we're quite pleased with that upgrade.
Yep. All right, next up are our memberships. We have quite a few RV specific memberships. Now our total for all of our memberships is $248 A couple of them I can tell you I can't imagine RVing without. And the first one is Boondockers Welcome. Next up is Harvest Host. And finally, the only trip planner I will use is RV Trip Wizard. So we are affiliates with all of those, but that's not why we love them. We were using them all long before we became affiliates. Yep. I will put links below, so in case you guys want to check those out. We do have discount codes for Harvest Host and Boondockers Welcome, and you can save if you join with our code.
Right, and to Harvest Host is not just breweries and wineries.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of comments that says, well, I don't like alcohol, I don't drink alcohol. That's great. You don't have to purchase their products. You don't even have to stay at a winery. There's museums, there's golf courses for those golf nuts. So there's more to it than just going to a brewery and a winery. And I can tell you, they are some of the most peaceful night's sleep you'll get. They beat Walmart parking lot any day.
Yep, absolutely. And we'll have more on that with our campground breakdown. I would say the memberships also included our escapee domicile and mail forwarding service. So that's why it was as high as it was. And speaking of mail forwarding, of course we have our mail forwarded from Livingston, which is where Escapees is, to wherever we happen to be. And just for postage for that, we spent $143.
Yeah, and we might have been able to save a little bit of money if I hadn't sent our Amazon purchases there instead of where we were actually sitting. So I had to pay for shipping twice.
For toilet paper. A case of toilet paper. Yeah.
Some of those. Yeah. So be careful of where you're sending your mail.
Yeah. All right, let's get into our camping breakdown. So we're going to break down where we stayed each night over the past year and what it cost us.
Yep.
All right, so first up, we did 3 total freebie overnights, and that includes casinos and Walmarts.
Yeah. Not the quietest places you want to overnight, but they were free.
Yep. Next up.
The next one is probably our most, well, not probably, it is our most expensive.
Nightly expense.
Our most expensive stay was at Disney's Fort Wilderness. Now I can say it was our priciest, but the most enjoyable.
Yeah.
We really had a good time there, and that was $450 to stay there for 4 nights.
Yeah, so that's $112 a night.
Yeah, so that's just to see the mouse. So I mean, if you haven't been, it is worth it to go at least one time.
That was our second time since being on the road.
First time was a family reunion, so we kind of hung out with family. We didn't go into the park, but we did stay at Fort Wilderness. But Disney does it right. Fort Wilderness is an extremely clean, spacious park. You're going to love it. There's a lot to do. Check that video down below.
Yeah.
If she's not linking it, she will now.
It's all linked in the blog,
okay.
So every video. Okay, next up we did go to the Tampa RV Show. We stayed on property at the show because we were working there, but we also had full hookups. We didn't stay in the parking lot, and that was a total of $240, which was $40 a night.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, we were working and we had to pay, so it was a win-win for us.
Yep.
Next, we did 8 days of volunteering at a park. Which we were able to stay at for free, and we ended up with full hookups during our time there.
We say free, but we worked our booties off, but it was amazing. We worked with A Year to Volunteer. If you haven't seen what they're doing, you have to check them out. Their goal is to volunteer for 365 days all across the U.S. We were fortunate enough to meet Phil and Shar on their first project, which is at the Florida Caverns, and of course that will be linked in the blog. But it was such a worthy cause. We really enjoyed meeting everyone there and working. We worked really hard for the free sites, but it was really worth it to help that state park open back up.
Yeah, and I mean, it was something, it just made us feel good to volunteer and give back. And yeah, when we say free, our site was free.
we worked for it.
We bust our humps while we were there.
Yeah.
Really worthwhile experience for us.
And we can't wait to do it again.
Absolutely.
So we actually did 2 projects with them, and we loved every minute of it. So we'll be back with Year to Volunteer.
One of our favorite places to stay is the Army Corps of Engineer Parks. And we absolutely love staying there, and you'd know that because we spoke about it at the Our Village rally. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
We stayed there for a total of 13 nights, which came out to about a $15 nightly average.
If you have the National Park Senior Pass or the National Park Access Pass, you get 50% off these campgrounds. So if you want to know more about specifics for these campgrounds, I'll link that blog post below, and I go into great detail on how to find them and how to get your discount. Yeah,
and spoiler alert, it's not just for military people. Anybody can stay there.
We got to quit telling people that because they're going to start filling up.
That's right.
All right, next up, we stayed for 15 nights on Florida's water management land, which, heads up, it is free free camping, and it was amazing. We loved it.
Yeah, and it's a little hidden gem down there. We didn't know about it until we were actually in Florida.
Yeah.
That it existed. So it was a nice find.
We also spent 22 nights with Boondockers Welcome. So we spent that with all different hosts. Because we get Boondockers Welcome comp for us, we're affiliates and we put out a lot of videos about them. So they gave us this year for free. We actually averaged about $1.36 per night for those days. And the only reason it was that is because we paid $10 for a host in Indiana who gave us electric, and one in Florida we gave another host $20 for his electric.
Yeah, he actually moved his rig out of his site so we could pull our rig in there and plug in. And Barry, thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you. All right, next up is driveway surfing with all of our amazing friends. So again, that was free. Well, free for us. We may not be so free for them because we were there, but it was free.
And you might have used some water and electricity.
Used their shower, whatevs.
Ate their food, but it was all fun.
All right, next up is Harvest Host. So again, another one of our favorite places. We spent 29 nights at Harvest Host, and again, this was also comp for us for the year. But as we were coming back from Florida, we added on the golf courses, which we didn't have, and that cost us $26. So that averaged out to 90 cents a night.
Not bad. I can live on that.
Yeah, and we love everything about Harvest Host. So, they're amazing. You got to check those out. We also did a month of camp hosting. So in North Carolina, while we were there, we tried our hand at it again for the second time.
But there were no bathrooms involved.
And we stayed 32 nights in North Carolina at our camp host spot. So technically it was free, but we, again, worked for that one.
That's right. We had to work. We were on a schedule.
Yeah.
That was rough.
With alarm clocks and everything.
Yeah, full-time RVers don't normally have a schedule or alarm clocks.
So not sure if we're going to camp host again. We'll take that as it comes.
TBD.
I never say never.
Yeah, TBD. We obviously stayed on some military bases and military campgrounds, and we stayed a total of 44 nights for a grand total of $26 a night is what it averaged.
Yeah.
So contrary to popular belief, we don't stay for free on a military base.
Right.
We have stayed at some military bases where it was $50 a night to stay.
Yeah, Fort Belvoir was our most expensive.
Yeah, so military bases are not free, and not everybody can get on them. So we do like them. 44 nights shows that we were there quite a bit.
So our total for the military parks, our military campgrounds, was $1,173.
Yeah, not bad.
All right, next up is state parks. We stayed 44 nights at state parks, and this is state parks, county parks, city parks, national parks, all lumped into one, and that was $1,238.
Not bad. And then, lastly, private campgrounds. We stayed 107 nights in private campgrounds for a grand total of $2,487. And COVID has a hand in some of that.
Yeah, for about 2 months of it.
Yeah.
So we don't normally choose private campgrounds. We usually like the COEs and the state parks better. But I can tell you the last 2 months of our year, we're at a private campground, but it was only $477 for the month. So actually, cost-wise, it wasn't too shabby.
No, it wasn't. But again, it just had us sitting the whole time.
Yeah. So, all right, so our total camping cost for the year is $5,813.29.
Yeah, for a grand total of $16 on average nightly.
That's right. I think that's pretty good.
Not bad. And we set out, when we set out 2 years ago, our nightly budget or daily budget was set, and we are well under that.
Well, we set it at $40 a night because we had no clue what we could do, and people laughed at us and said, "You're never going to camp for less than $40 a night. You're crazy." And then other people said, $40, that's ridiculous. I never pay more than an average of 15 or whatever. So we were lost, but as you can see, we came in well under that.
Sometimes we hit it, sometimes we're a little over it, but
But it all averages out.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, if some of you are thinking you could have saved so much money with 1,000 Trails and your nightly costs would have been less, well, we opted out of 1,000 Trails for a ton of reasons. So if you haven't seen our video as why 1,000 Trails does not work for us, of course, I will link that below and you can check that out.
Yeah, it's not to say that 1,000 Trails may not work for you.
Right.
And your lifestyle. We have friends that have 1,000 Trails and they swear by it. They love it. It works for them. That's great.
And finally, I just want to remind everybody thinking that they can go out and boondock and live for absolutely free. Remember, that's not necessarily the case. There are hidden costs involved even with boondocking. Things like dumping fee, filling your fresh water tanks, washing laundry,
replenishing your propane.
And your fuel. What are you using to run your generator to recharge your batteries? All those costs add up. Now, they're not huge costs. It can be cheaper, but when we stayed out at Quartzside, it was actually cheaper for us to stay at a few of our COEs than it was for us to boondock. So you do have to weigh the pros and cons and what works best for you and what you like to do.
Right.
So hopefully this is going to help you as you're planning to go full-time, as you're budgeting to go full-time. Be sure and shop around on YouTube and on other websites and see what people are spending. See their budget breakdown. Find out where you want to be within that breakdown, and you can live on whatever budget you want to live on the road. This is the budget that works for us. I hope you find the budget that works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a budget out there for everyone.
Yeah. Before we go, we have to let you know what's going on with our Homes for Our Troops charity.
Yeah, it just keeps getting better.
So after we closed out the charity, we didn't quite make it to $5,000.
We're just a little shy.
So we got an email from 2 Air Force retired Master Sergeants. I hope I said that right.
Chief Master Sergeants.
I knew I was wrong. 2 E9s from the Air Force that are retired, and one of their wives. And they decided, since the Navy could not pull it out,
Couldn't finish the job.
We couldn't finish the job and take it to $5,000. They were going to take our donations to $5,000.
Yeah, so they donated $300, which took it just over $5,000, and they wanted to challenge anybody else in the other branches to keep it going.
That's right. And so I sent it out in our newsletter on Saturday last week, and some Navy folks stepped up, and we've had another $500 donated, all from Navy, retired Navy, to our donation. So if you would like to take the challenge and see what other services we can push forward in this donation, I'll leave the link down below for you to donate directly to Homes for Our Troops. It's not coming to us. Just donate and then send me an email and let me know what branch you're donating for, and I will add that to our tally, and we'll see which force can donate the most.
Yeah, we'd love to keep it going. So if you're feeling it, you've got a few extra bucks to spare, join in.
Yeah, I actually got a call today from Homes for Our Troops about our charity and the donation that we already donated. They are so excited about it. They want to say thank you to everyone who bought the shirts and donated. They were just totally overwhelmed. So thanks to everyone who's already donated, whether it's the tip jar, the t-shirt, or on your own. We appreciate each and every one of you. And I know the veterans that are receiving help from Homes for Our Troops also thank you.
Yeah, and I'll give you a virtual fist bump because that was just totally awesome. Loved it.
All right, if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button.
And give us a thumbs up and hit the notification bell over there. And yes, I'm using my surgically repaired right shoulder to point because I'm getting better.
And we will put links to everywhere that you can find us. You can mainly find us these days on Our Village. So if you're not a part of Our Village and our group, please join us over there. Or head over to our website for a ton more information on travel and RVing.
Yep, we look forward to seeing you there.
All right, thanks for watching. And hopefully one day we'll see you
back on the road.